Hi, my name is Amin. I'm originally from Australia. I've been following the Bitcoin movement for about 2 years now. This is the reason I decided to come to the Netherlands, to be closer to the communities and the people behind the scenes who are helping, shift the decentralized movement forward. Along with that, I've also been involved in a lot of different projects and different platforms in terms of marketing, assisting in wherever I can, and helping communities reach their goals. Through this, I've been able and fortunate enough to be able to speak to a wide array of people, and through that, I've just been able to gather a lot of information from different topics and different platforms, which I hope to share with you. So my topic is on decentralized revolution and what actually is happening through different platforms. I care very little about the financial aspect of Bitcoin because to me that's insignificant in comparison to what it can do in different parts of the world and different parts of existing industries, such as medical industry or minority or a lot of different things that I'll go over. So just to begin with, that's just basically what I do. I also work as a freelance journalist for various Bitcoin-based websites, providing people with an easy way of understanding what is going on and what is actually happening behind the scenes. So to start off, we've just got to explain the Bitcoin model, which is that when you introduce incentive to a task, people are more willing to join. So initially, people like to help network growth out of the kindness of their heart, but what the Bitcoin technology does and what it produces in terms of incentives, it allows people to join and be rewarded for keeping the network alive. And this is the fundamental basics of what the blockchain technology can do. So you now introduce a layer that allows people to join and keep a network alive, and no matter what this network may be, depending on their reasons or their own philosophies or their own interests, they can adapt to it and continue making it stronger. So basically, that just goes into what I just explained, and you can adapt this to a lot of different fields. So to start off with, I just want to go over, for example, storage. Decentralized storage is a very important aspect because currently we give the trust to centralized companies that hold that private data and very personal files and things that we might have a large attachment to, or more than that, it might be confidential, it might be business purposes, or it might be government documentation. And the moment we put these on drives such as Storj, we put it on platforms such as Google Drive, iCloud, and Dropbox, we give authority to these people, and we give authority to these companies, and hope that they keep it safe, which through history we have seen that it's not safe, it can be hacked, and the files are not end-to-end encrypted, which leads to a lot of leak through documents, files, personal images, and celebrity photos or people's access accounts, and a lot of other things leaking out. So if you take the blockchain technology and put it to use in terms of storage, you're harnessing existing drives that are available on everyone's computers. And how many people actually, just have a think about it for yourself, how many of you actually fill up your entire hard drive? It is very rare that people use their entire hard drive. In most cases, they use 20, maybe 30% of the hard drive, and you've got about 80 to 70% of your hard drive left over. And what if you could sell this space and earn money for it? And what if you could, from that money, then hire your own cloud drive to store your files and do other things? It seems like a very innovative idea, but that's what storage is doing. So it's taking what's already there and harnessing it to provide a P2P model of providing people with storage. And not only is it storage, it's fully encrypted. So only the person that has the private key, so the same as a Bitcoin wallet, so if you have your private key, you can access your money. So in the same manner, you're the only person that can access your file, and whoever you share that private key with. So it's a great, great idea. At the start of August, they established their milestones. So there's 3 milestones. The first one was conquered in 1 day. The second one was conquered in a few days. And since then, they've been on milestone 3, which is reaching 1 petabyte worth of data to be allocated through the entire network by the users that are helping maintain the network again. So the reward for this is 1 million storage coins, which can, as I said, be used to hire out drives, or you can exchange it for Bitcoins if you wish to get out the storage system again. So 1 petabyte is a large amount of data. So once this scales out, you can understand that you have an enormous amount of data that Google or anyone else don't have, because their facilities are contained within data centers. and there's a lot of parts to it. So why store it in data centers if you can use the average hard drive? And it is in a way much more effective, much more efficient, a lot cheaper to maintain and to distribute amongst consumers. And this is where it gets interesting. So now they have the storage space, they can actually start building APIs on top of it, which can lead to YouTube, YouTube adaptations of storage. So you have decentralized video sharing, you can have decentralized streaming. So similar to Tripler, which was developed by students in Delft University, allows people to stream movies and have their own databases and everything like that. So social aspect to movie sharing. So you can build a lot of stuff on top of this. So what they have done is actually through the development of Storj, they came up with notary functions as well. So proof of existence. You can only imagine the effect this would have on confidential documents or having to verify things that need to be copyrighted. Currently, you would have to go through a great deal of bureaucracy and hefty fees to do something that this can do in a matter of minutes. And of course, it will hold up in court because someone can come and analyze the data and say, yeah, it's on the blockchain, it can be verified, and it will hold up. So the notary function was, naturally risen from the development. So they didn't try and do it, but they needed to do it for their own system. So that's something they're trying to put out. And the other aspects are the micropayment system, which Bitcoin developers are trying to bring out as well, which is, increase the cost and the network usage while constantly sending out micropayments. So what this allows you to do is gather them and send them out in a way where it doesn't cost the network with a great deal of network usage and also makes it much more efficient. So it's great to see developments such as this being pushed forward by storage companies, and I really like what they're doing. The other aspect I want to go over was Augur, which is a decentralized forecasting platform. And what's really amazing about this is it allows people to put their money where their mouth is. So right now it's very easy for economists or lawyers or anyone else really to stand up and say, this is what's going to happen, people will take my advice, it's what's to be true. And a lot of people at the time take this to be the truth. The problem with this is that they are not the ones losing money. They're not the ones losing anything out of it. They're just getting paid to give advice. And it's easy to give advice if your reputation is not on the line for it, or you're not the ones that lose your home and your entire street goes bankrupt. So what Augur does is takes that concept, an ancient concept of betting, and applies it to forecasting. So it allows people to wage in on future outcome of events in a way that they can be rewarded for guessing the right thing. So it goes into the concept of wisdom of the crowd. So if you ask enough people a question, the answer usually averages out very closely to what the real answer is. And what they're doing is they're putting this to use in terms of future forecasting in a decentralized manner, which I find very effective. And there are people with reputation tokens taking part in this, and they act as the oracles of the system. So based on the answers they give and the reputation they have, they're able to maintain the system and the trust and reputation of themselves as well. And there's a downside to it as well. So if they don't report, or they're lazy, or they lie, they can lose up to 20% of their reputation tokens. So it takes into account the person's willingness to want to uphold their reputation in the community, and the rest of the platform works on the concept of wisdom of the crowd. So it's a very amazing platform in my perspective. And during the alpha test, they had 10,000 new users within the first 10 hours, which was very significant. And right now, I think they're about $4.8 million a year has been raised through their crowd sale, which is both through Bitcoin and Ethereum. They have also had a large number of firms such as the US Bank, Goldman Sachs, and other institutions with similar status approach them because the idea is really significant. It's the first time that you've been able to harness the crowd wisdom in such a way that's fully decentralized and rewards users. There are a lot of centralized ways of doing this, but obviously they can be manipulated, they can be pushed to give a certain answer, which plays a heavy part on the rest of the people who don't have that access. So yeah, that's kind of the similar models that you can see coming up that I really like. And you can see, when you take a look at these, for me anyways, they're much more significant than financial assets. So another one is decentralized governance. So BitNation has been on the forefront of producing a stateless borderless governance tool through the use of the blockchain technology. And what they've done is quite remarkable. At the moment, it may seem like a far-fetched idea, but whole idea started at that point. So, they're trying to push out decentralized ways of handling birth certificates, marriage certificates, land ownership, and similar tasks. And what this really does is show people that you don't actually need to go to the government to have these sort of certifications, because when you go to them, you have to pay a lot of fees. At the same time, it takes a long time, which doesn't need to be like that. So it bypasses the entire system. So her idea is that to give people the option of choosing what they want and what is important to them, because it's completely unnatural to want an entire nation to follow the same rules and for the entire nation to be abided by the same concept. It's not really natural. What this does is it allows you to micromanage people on what's important to them. And in countries that are unbanked, the countries that the government is not as solid as the western part of the world or first world countries or things like that, it's very important to have such things. A lot of acts of terrorism and violence occurs because there is no authority to dispute such things. So people resort to violence and resort to terrorism and such things due to it. So it really is important. And a very important aspect that I want to also cover is self-determination. So by international law, it states that you have the right to follow your own rules. You have the right to govern yourself, if you will. The only reason we follow the rules that are given to us is because they assume that we have chosen them as the governing powers. So by international rules, you are allowed to have your own governing system, and you're allowed to follow this, if you will. Not many people know this, and that's why the law continues unpaid. So if you look at that model and apply the BitNation model, you can see that there's no reason why it shouldn't be followed. The only reason something comes into it is that another state accepts it as an authority. So as long as you get one more state following your rules, it becomes valid. This is something that I personally worked on, and I thought to put it out as a branch of BitNation, which is a refugee-based emergency service that I and other members from BitNation put together. And it goes to show what the blockchain technology can do for humankind, and in terms of crisis where the European so-called Union is not so unified. And what it does is it comes into play and it gives people a choice where currently we're looking up to the governments like, oh, what are they going to do about it? But why shouldn't it be their decision? Why are we on standby waiting for them to make a decision where we can make a difference? So this website that my other members put out was a response to that. So it uses the blockchain technology to register refugees, if you will, and give them an emergency ID, which can be verified through the blockchain. And it also is going to harness the reputation system once fully done. And through this, people can donate directly to them, and you can help them. You can give them an identification. You can also allow them to find family members wherever they may be. We've also took support for direct donations in the form of Bitcoin, which has been very successful. People have been very willing to help, and also allows them to register any questions they may have. They can attend Bitcoin seminars throughout Europe once they are marked, so to learn more about what Bitcoin can do for stateless people and other similar stuff. So it also allows them to mark locations where they can go and get help or places to sleep, and that's been used a lot as well. I really like that because you're taking something that's already there and applying it to existing or current crisis. And that's just an example of a blockchain, BitNation's blockchain-based citizenship. And that's a birth figure and how it registered onto the reputation system. And that's a land ownership in Africa that was done as a trial run. So when you attend conferences, you see a lot of, lawyers that, lawyers, not just lawyers, politicians or other similar roles that attend. And their idea is to take what was made as an anarchist idea and adopt it so it becomes useful for the state. And we kind of stand by, and a lot of us may not like it. Some of us see it as a positive influence because once they have adopted it, that means that it becomes massively adopted. But the idea is that it doesn't need to be adopted by them. It was an idea that was meant to break away from the state powers or break away from existing financial applications. And it still can do that, it just depends how you develop the application. So for example, BitNation isn't looking for governments to accept it. It has stepped outside of that and created its own governing. So that's just a bit of difference between fiat and digital currencies. I also want to speak about how things used to be done and how they are now. So in terms of social media and how things, news are spread these days in comparison to how newspapers were printed. So you can see a large difference between how media and news was distributed to how it is now. So the average person now has a voice. They can use social media to spread news from wherever they are. Whereas back, when newspapers were the most highly regarded source of news, things were a bit different. So the same way that has been applied to news and sharing important, yes.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I think the slide makes a slight confusion because the title is fiat versus digital currency. And it's easy to see that fiat currency is currently centralized but could be decentralized, and digital currency could be both centralized and decentralized. So I think the title is a bit confusing in this slide.
I guess it's like a very broad way of putting it.
It's like currently, yes, you're right, but at least in theory, it could be any way you like.
Yeah, I understand. I understand what you mean. I guess I'm just trying to make things a bit more broad rather than make it so technical and down to the precise point. But I appreciate that. I'll keep that in mind. So using existing technologies from a new one. So one of the main ones that I do want to cover is eCoin and T0, which was developed by Overstock. So Overstock's T0 platform allows people in Wall Street or other places to trade stocks using the blockchain. So this introduces transparency. It allows people to feel a bit more confident about what is happening. It removes the possibility of naked short selling, which happens quite a lot at the moment in the stock market. It removes the possibility of insiders multi-selling stocks, which when it comes down to it, it will make companies crash or become bankrupt and millions of people lose their jobs. So it's a really innovative way of approaching the Wall Street, the financial system. And Patrick has been doing this, and I think it's really remarkable the work he has done to push this forward, despite all the negative views that a lot of people have towards it. And I believe with things like this, taking blockchain technology and applying it to different systems, we can introduce a whole new level of transparency that has not yet existed, and people have been looking for a long time. Another example is eCoin. I really like eCoin because of the fact that you can go online, order a Visa debit card, it will be in your mailbox within 3 to 4 days. After that, you can load it up with Bitcoin. After 6 confirmation, you can walk to an ATM, withdraw cash. It removes the need for having a Bitcoin ATM. It removes the need for waiting for adaptation on a larger scale. You can use it on Amazon. You can use it on eBay. Imagine in countries where they don't have access to such facilities through their own local banks, countries such as Morocco or Greece, where right now it's limited to 60 euros cash withdrawal limit. It can really do some significant change there, and it has been. And they've recently brought out a virtual Visa card, which means as soon as you order it with 3 euros, prior to yesterday it was free. Minutes later, you receive this virtual Visa card in your email address, and there you are. You have you straight away have access to Amazon, eBay, and things that you want to order. And imagine the change this can have on a person's life that is waiting on the current existing systems of banks to support them. They also have an affiliate program where if you refer people, you get a percentage of the transaction fees. So these are the countries that mostly have been using eCoin. And you can see countries like Morocco, Russia, Greece. So the countries that the banking system are not so stable, or people are really looking for new ways of dealing with their money. They really want a way out. And prior to this, they didn't have an option. They didn't have a choice. They had to just rely on the banking system. What this does is give them a choice. It's all about giving people a choice. It's not that they don't want a better way. They want, but they just don't know how to do it. And you can see that, in Morocco now, a person can order this card, and minutes later they're on Amazon or eBay ordering whatever they want. Whereas, their existing cards may not have been able to produce such possibilities. Another one that I wanted to really cover, it's not so much related to blockchain, but more to peer-to-peer. So in Greece, due to the telecom internet providers not doing so very good job, and there's a lot of dropouts and a lot of things like that. Again, you're looking to centralized issues. You're looking to your state for help, but it's not happening because they don't have the funds, or they don't care, or whatever reason it may be. But it doesn't mean you have to wait for them to do it. You can go out of your own way and create these possibilities for yourself. So what they did is